This is a story by I.L. Peretz. I.L. Peretz was probably the father of Yiddish story writing, living in the late 1800s, early 1900s. He had a famous contemporary, Shalom Aleichem, and later on, of course, Isaac Bashevis Singer. This is a story, and I.L. Peretz wrote a lot of things. He wrote social commentary, political pieces, even plays, lots of short stories. This is a story called Bunche Schweig. Schweig in Yiddish means silent, so it's Bunche the Silent. Bunche was born into extreme abject poverty. He starved as a child. He never complained. Bunche was silent. Bunche was thrown out of his house by an alcoholic, violent father. Bunche did not cry out. He asked for nothing. Bunche was silent. Bunche, as a very young person, got terrible jobs. He had to carry loads which men of greater brawn were able to do with difficulty. But Bunche never complained. Bunche was silent. When Bunche was ill and lonely, with no one to attend him, he did not cry out. He did not curse God. Bunche was silent. Bunche had no one. Bunche was always begging for a crumb of bread, hungry as he was. Bunche was silent. And when he met his final illness, as his destiny insisted, Bunche said nothing. He knew what was coming. He didn't complain. Bunche was silent. And with his last breath, Bunche found himself sitting on a golden chair. Bright lights all around. He had to close his eyes and squint. He trembled with terror. He had no idea what was happening or where he was. But what was there was the court of judgment. What was there was the defender and prosecutor. And Bunche was forced to open his eyes and see what was happening. He said nothing because Bunche was silent. And the defender spoke. The defender rose and he narrated Bunche's entire life from birth to death. He cited all of Bunche's sufferings and emphasized that Bunche, pious Bunche, never complained, never cried out, never asked for anything. And when the defender was finished, he sat down and the chief judge called on the prosecutor. And the prosecutor trembled a little, was nervous, stood up, mumbled to himself, and then sat down saying, "I have nothing to say." There was a murmur in the great hall, and the chief judge quieted everyone and spoke. He said, Bunche, Bunche, my child. Bunche, you are in paradise. Bunche, you can have anything and everything. Just ask for it. Bunche, my child, say something, ask for something. But Bunche had never asked for anything, and he was silent and had to be cajoled. And then he responded. He said, well, I wonder if could I, every day for breakfast, could I have a hot roll with butter? The court and the saints and all the judges and the defender and the prosecutor and all the array suddenly fell silent, a great hush in the great hall. And everyone bowed his head in contrition and shame and silence. Shana Tova.